Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I thought I would do a sketchbook tour. I hope this isn't too dark. I have all my lights off and it's like pouring rain. I hope you can see this. So January of 2025, I started with extinction, and I did a bunch of animals that had gone extinct, and I peppered in some dinosaurs and some other things, but like this one went extinct in 2024. This is the slendered bill curlew. So some of these are more recent. And starting the year off with things that had gone extinct was a little sad. It was a little sad. It was a little hard. And so when I was doing this, I thought to myself, boy, wouldn't it be fun to do things that we've saved? Conservation. Do a sketchbook like that. So I think in this sketchbook tour, I mentioned like in December, in almost a whole calendar year, I would like to do conservation and do some animals that have been saved. And that is exactly what I did. So I went to a website, Society for Conservation Biology, and I found, I guess it's conservation letters. So it's a journal of the Society for Conservation Biology, and it's volume 14, issue 1, and it was printed January, February of 2021. And on there are a couple lists of animals, and I don't know, I'll throw up what I have, and these are the lists I went off of for what to draw. And if you notice, there are different color striations, like there's a little tiny strip of yellow and then it turns to purple, and this has to do with probability that extinction has been prevented. So the things that are all the way to the right, virtually certain, very likely, to the very far left where it's purple, it's very unlikely that extinction has been prevented. So I started with the top, and I went in order. I didn't deviate any. And what I did, because there's a lot more birds than mammals, I did 2 birds to every mammal, and that is the curation of the sketchbook. So the front cover, I took a Posca pen and I drew a Spitz macaw, because that has one of my favorite like comeback stories. And yeah, ink. So here are my notes. I finished this December. I'm currently making this video in January of 2026. This is a Townsend Shearwater. This was the last one I drew, and I drew it on the end papers in the front. Flying. I know. So here is the Spitz macaw. And these are all colored pencils. So this is about 98% Faber-Castell Polychromos and about 2% Caran d'Ache Luminance. And that's because of the colors I own. I don't own a full set in the Luminance. I have the 36 set of Polychromos, and then I've added probably maybe a dozen to that since for convenience colors for speed. This is a Sakura dove. Again, it goes bird, bird, mammal. So this is the scimitar horned oryx. And the reason it looks like this is I wanted to do one-sided. I wanted to get as detailed as possible, but time constraints, like how long do you want to spend on an illustration that's A6 size? I realized that without having the horn, it looks like a goat. It doesn't look right. So I had to include the antler horn situation for some of these. Hawaiian crow, Guam rail. There is no solvent on here. There is no spray fixative on here. This is just colored pencil. That's it. And then I took my Rotring Isograph, my technical pen, and just wrote the name along the side so I don't forget. The Pierre David's deer. Again, without the antlers, you don't get like the full story, so I let the antlers go across the page. This is a Guam kingfisher. Oh, this is the only one I did a foot. I did the little toes. Alagos curacao. I know, these are so much fun. This is the Przewalski's horse. These ranged anywhere from 1 hour to 2 hours. Most were about an hour and a half. This is a California condor. I think this is the only one out of everything I drew that I've actually seen in person. Very big bird. He's huge. Puerto Rican Amazon. Boy, do I love green. I love bright green. Bright green's so much fun. Gilbert's Potoroo. I have never seen these before. So I was looking at reference photos online to try and make this as accurate as possible. I did the best I could. Some of these, I don't know. Pink pigeon. This one's very pale. Orange-billed parrot. I know, in neon, a lot of fun. Okay, black-footed ferret. I was familiar with this one. So some of them I've heard of, some of them I haven't heard of. Most of these I've never drawn before. The Bali Minga. Gosh, that one's so cool. I love the strip of blue. And like the pale, this is like light gray 10% with some other grays and some indigo on top. I really layer tons of colors for the subtle shifts of warm and cool. Echo Parakeet. And I think that's something that when you go to do more intermediate colored pencil work, what you choose to layer in, like this is 4 different types of greens. And then I have pine green is the dark green for the shadows and stuff. Like how you choose to highlight and how you choose to shade. Vaquita, this is the only aquatic one that I drew in this sketchbook. So he's kind of the odd one out, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bud. Alagus antwren, very gray bird. But again, there's a difference between warm gray and cool gray. So if it's a cool gray bird, I will add indigo. If it's warm gray, I just keep the color pencil as is. Tahiti monarch, and sometimes like this one, I get, as it goes down, I want to denote the shadow versus the highlight. So this is more like raw umber, and this is more Carmine Lake. So you get the light and the dark within the same color. Javan rhinoceros. This one's my favorite because I love rhinos. I love rhinos so much. Oh, they're my favorite. He's my favorite. Okay, southern red-breasted plover. I know, so much fun. I had a lot of fun with this. Shell's magpie robin. I started this mid-November and went all the way through, so I ended it December 31st. And again, so we have a middle range blue, lots of indigo to black for the shade. Red wolf. I don't draw enough wolves. That's something I want to incorporate more of, definitely. The Ratonga monarch. I'm not familiar with some of these birds, but doing my best, doing my absolute best. The Guadalupe junco, Guadalupe. I'm not sure. I didn't look up pronunciations either, so we're getting all kinds of spicy. This is the northern hairy-nosed wombat, and I screwed this one up. So his snout is not nearly long enough. Like he needs to be set back, so his ears are probably cut in half, and he needs a longer snout because he doesn't look wombat. He looks more in the feline, canine family. And so this is the one where I screwed up. I didn't pre-sketch any of these, so that's what happens. Fatu Hiva monarch. I only have myself to blame when things go wrong. This one is really pretty. I like that bird a lot. The black stilt. And again, these have crazy long legs. This took longer than it should have. Sometimes blending things out, and like the more subtle the color shift, the more time I spend trying to make sure I'm getting the blending right, you know? Iberian lynx. This one was a ton of fun. I went huge. I don't know that I've ever drawn this one in full detail before, so that was a lot of fun. And if you'll notice, it's all profile view, and all of them are facing to the right. I don't have any facing to the left. I didn't want them facing into a spine. I want them looking out of this book to their future with better numbers. The Asian crested ibis. I love a good ibis. I have seen the scarlet ibis many times. Their colors are unreal. And they have such a cool, skull. That sounds so dark. I'm sorry. It's true though. They're just really cool. Pale-headed brushfinch. Lots of brown, super cute. I mean, this sketchbook was brought to you by the color sepia. Hainan gibbon. And they look fluffy and soft. I kind of want to pet them, but I don't do that to wild animals. We respect. Lear's macaw, another blue bird. I love blue. Blue is my favorite color. Okay. Yellow-eared parrot. Again, because I only have a little tiny strip of an A6, I am able to spend 2 full hours working on the shadows and the highlights to get these layers and layers and layers without muddying them too much. This is the Katba Langer. I know, some of these. I'm just not familiar with anything about them. So drawing them for the first time, it was very exciting. I love drawing a thing I've never drawn before. This is the Malherbe's parakeet. And dude has all the colors. How'd you get all the colors? Share some with everybody else, please. Mariana crow. It's a fun bird. Vancouver Island marmot, and yeah, I don't marmot much, so this one was fun. I'm gonna say that about all of them. I just really love art. I really love art. I really love drawing. Reunion cuckoo strike. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. This is the one I drew on my birthday. So very pale grays, very pretty. Mangrove finch. And again, doing a art challenge, a drawing challenge, a creator challenge in the month of December is its own challenge. I have my birthday, our wedding anniversary, we've been married 20 years, there was Christmas, we were doing countdown activities, like we have 3 kids. So prioritizing and time management are key. And a lot of that, people are like, how do you find the time? I prioritize what's important. So if the most important thing is family, I do the family things. If the second most important thing is how I give back to myself, and that's drawing, then that has to come second. So there's no TV, there's no watching shows. Like, this is how I relax and unwind. And some people will do audiobooks or podcasts or YouTube videos or TV or movies. Like, everybody unwinds differently, and this is how I chose to do it for myself. Pygmy hog. I know, he's a wild one. And I tried to do lots of stippling to denote larger like hair follicles to make it look more realistic. So there's lots of like little dots in amongst all the stripes that look like hairs for realism. This is the northern bald ibis, and I tried to get his whole beak in there, so it's not a lot of body. But his body is interesting. So if you're interested in some of these birds, by all means, keep looking them up and researching them and stuff. The magenta petrel, I've never drawn a beak like this. I didn't know. I need to get out more. The beak is so cool. I did 2 of them in this book. The Cowvit gibbon. This is one where I could not find a reference photo with enough clear details. Like, I understand that telephoto cameras and lenses are a privilege. Like, some of those $5,000, $10,000 for a really good telephoto lens to be able to photograph some of this stuff. So what's being photographed is what people have, and I get that. I also don't want these animals disturbed just for a photo. Like, that's not fair to their existence and their life. They didn't ask for that. So this is as best as I could do with the information I had. Okay, some of these may not be realistic. Red-billed curassow. I know he's very similar to the other one I did in the beginning. Here's the Xenos petrel. So again, another one of those beaks. They're so interesting. I really dig it. But again, with the pale gray, adding warm yellows, warm browns to warm it up because he's not a cool gray. Northern Idaho ground squirrel. And I had to make up some information because every time I see one of these in like a reference photo, they always have their hands in their mouths. Like, I get it, snacks, same. Me too. But it makes it harder to draw. And again, one of the more interesting things about them is they have like sort of patterned polka dots within their fur that's a ticked color. And you kind of lose that. You lose information by only doing a profile view, and I know that, and that's, you know, I did my best. This is the indigo winged parrot, and this is the end paper, so this is the Leuchtturm's information, and I just chose to draw on it anyway, because I don't know when I'm going to be buying another Leuchtturm sketchbook, and I've filled, I don't know, maybe a dozen of them so far in my life. Yeah, so this was the last of the 180 GSM. They're now 150 GSM, but a better quality paper. I have like a paper testing video about the paper. If you're curious, I'll link that. Here's the pocket in the back. Here's all the birds I drew. I did not get through all the lists. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's still almost a dozen birds I need to draw from the list, and a few, oh yeah, let me go to the other one. I'm looking at both these lists of what I got through. Yeah, I did not finish all these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 8 mammals. I'm going to keep these lists, and then I will pepper in some of these animals throughout 2026 in my 2026 sketchbook. It's not going to be monthly themed. It's just going to be different mediums every day, different subject matters. But this was a lot of fun. Again, this took me 50 days. I also understand, like when I say sketchbook tour, this isn't very sketchbook because it's not very sketch. These fall under my definition of what illustration is. So this is more of an illustration sketchbook tour, just to mitigate expectation. Again, it has taken me years and years and years of monthly practice to get good at colored pencils to this ability. So I bought my set, I believe in 2021, and I did my first monthly challenge, I believe in May of that month. So I use them about 1/3 of the year every year to get to this level, to get to this amount of practice. And it's anywhere from an hour to 3 hours a day. And then, you know, my hand wants to fall off. So please don't compare your experience and your journey with my journey. That's not fair to you or me. I've been drawing and illustrating for decades. Like, this is my passion. These are not for anything. This is just for me, for fun. Again, my self-care is art. So that's how I choose to prioritize this. And again, the curation of this is them looking out off the page at an even flow. They all look like they belong together. They're all friends. Like, they're all facing. This was a lot of fun. Did I hit a wall with this? I think after about 30 days, I was kind of done. But then I was like, yeah, there's 20 more pages though. So I just kept going. I listen to audiobooks and stuff. So, or music. Music really like hypes me up while I'm drawing. I like doing one subject matter for about a month, and then I kind of want to move on to something else. Like, I couldn't tell you towards the end how badly I wanted to do an ink portrait. Because it's just too many colored pencil animals. But this was a lot of fun. So again, I started the year off with extinction and did the best I could with all the different things going extinct. I don't know if there's like a year, like if you could look through and be like, yeah, you improved. I don't know that that's a thing. I don't know. I don't know how you compare progress sometimes. A lot of these references weren't good reference photos, and it's not fair to compare like an amphibian to a bird. Is there genuine progress? Maybe. Maybe. I notice progress when I look from 2023 to 2025. I notice it, a couple years worth. I see progress in this. I don't know that I see within 12 months too much progress of improvement in illustration. Just because it's too subtle. Like, where I'm at with my drawing ability, it's become too subtle. So I have to look farther back in my drawing history to compare, and that's what I compare. I compare years worth. So if I look at my October 2023 to December 2025, I notice a huge difference in the amount of tiny, minute detail that I've added. So I hope you enjoyed this sketchbook tour. I hope you had a lovely 2025. Here's to a productive and creative and inspiring 2026. And I hope your day is wonderful. Bye.